Afternoon, Christian. How are you?
Good, Will. Thank you. You?
Fantastic.
Willie Bean.
Laddie Daddy. Also,
Yeah.
in terms of Brandt Bronico playing at left back, I know you addressed this on Saturday. What part of his skill set made you think that he was apt to take that role, and do you foresee that continuing, or was that a one-week experiment?
No, he has many qualities, Brandt, that I like and that can be very useful in our model of the game. He's technically competent to play that position. He is a hard-working guy. He has great stamina, and he understands what we are trying to do. So I don't think it's a one-week experiment. It's something that we are thinking carefully, and ultimately, obviously, the responsibility is mine. But I think that Brandt has got the skill set to play in that position.
What was your main emphasis this week in training? I know that you mentioned afterwards kind of getting more on frame and being more creative in the final third. How do you implement that with training and emphasis this week?
But we made a few tactical changes to our that we worked on because we planned certain things that were not well executed. We didn't execute well against St. Louis, but they were there for us to be executed. So the emphasis was to change a couple of tactical positioning and to make the boys understand how everything is coming together, because just a minor adjustment in the way we want to play can open up different avenues. So our emphasis has been, from a tactical point of view, to make those adjustments, and then we keep working on the things we have been working so far, which is keeping intensity high in transitions and try to press high and all the things that we know we can execute.
Last from me, I know you always talk about the result being something that's out of your control. How close are you to playing the kind of football that you want to see played for this side?
I don't think we are very far, and I think that we are playing football against everybody. Sometimes it's a process that takes a little bit of time to get everything together, to make everything click together, because the way we want to play is not. I think it's a little bit more complex in the sense that we want to have the ball all the time. When you have the ball, obviously, you are also exposed to counterattack. You're also exposed to transitions, and in order to be true and honest and congruent to the style and to the identity that we want to give to our football club, unfortunately, if one element of the game is not well executed, you might pay for it. Unfortunately, we are paying very high prices for mistakes that we make, because I think we went to St. Louis and also against New England, we played face to face with them, and we were not on the receiving end from a game from the playing point of view. Unfortunately, the results went against us, and ultimately, I know I'm not new in this game. I'm going to be judged on results, but I also believe that we need to be looking how the team is playing and trying to develop and create a playing style that represent our identity.
Thank you. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Carol.
Hey Christian, how are you?
Hey Carol, good, thank you. You?
Good. I'm good. Just kind of piggybacking on the Bronico question, you've shown us you're not afraid to move some pieces around. You know, you've moved Swiderski around a little bit.
Yeah.
Bronico, Derek Jones. I mean, I guess on the one hand, critics could say you're playing guys out of position, you know, but on the other hand, I think maybe you're going more for getting your best talent on the field, you know, getting the best combinations you want, you know, feeling these guys are versatile. You know, what's your take on that?
Yeah, exactly, Carol. I think it's exactly that. I think these guys are versatile. I think that these are guys that have got a certain experience in the game, all the names that you mentioned in different ways, and can contribute to our football club. I wouldn't necessarily be too concerned with people that they say that they are played out of position, because the system we want to play, I think that they are quite in their position. They can do well in those positions. Maybe if you are looking at a more traditional way of playing a fullback, a guy that is left-footed on the left, that goes up and down and overlaps continuously, maybe Brandt does represent that kind of play. But the way we want to play our game, I think it can suit him really well. It can suit the team very well. So I'm not too concerned about that. And to move pieces, I think that I want to make sure that the guys that they play in those positions, even Carol, that unfortunately didn't have maybe his best game, but he ended up making an assist from the right wing position. So I don't think that the guys are, that they are completely out of position. I don't see that in that way. I see how we can create our game model using the best talent that we have at disposal, like you just put it. I think obviously we have other guys that they are talented that can play in those positions. It's just that I have to make decisions, and at this moment I decided to go with those players in that position. Then after things might change, like football, like everything in life evolves. So we might do the same. But for now, I think that there was the decision that I wanted to take, and I want to say that the boys actually trained really well. They had a good spirit in the week, which is always good to see when you come back from a defeat in which they felt that they could have got something from the game if it wasn't for some mistakes that we could have avoided. But this is part of football. We have to own. I own, as I've always done. I take responsibility for that, and then we just have to move on and keep working and keep improving what we are trying to do.
One more for me is Nuno Santos making a case at you right now for more playing time?
Yeah, Nuno is making a case. There are a few guys that they are making cases. Kerwin Vargas also came on really well into the game. All the guys that they come, like Andrea Shinyashiki did before. I think that what amuses me all the time is that the players that they always, and it's nothing to do with the players, because the players are very respectful and they are very trained very well, all of them. Because if they don't, it would be easier to put them aside. The problem for a coach is when the players play really well and you don't play, or they train really well and then you see this competition. But from people that they look from the outside, and always the players that don't play, they are right. And I think that Andre made the case before he started the game. DJ made the case before and starting this game. Nuno and Kerwin, certainly they are not doing any disservice to themselves. They are putting strong cases as well. Like a strong case is putting Harris on a full, or Joseph Mora, or Ben Bender, because I saw the way, or Mackenzie Gaines, I saw the way they train, or Jay Lindsay. So there are many players, I could name everybody that make strong cases. Obviously, the two you mentioned is because they came on the pitch and they did well. Or the one you mentioned, I mentioned the other one, because when they came on the pitch, they usually contribute. But this is another strength that we have, that players that they come with the right mentality. At the moment, I'm very sorry, especially for the guys, that the results are not going in our way, because I don't think they deserve that. I am happy to take the responsibility for that. I don't have any problem with that. But I think that the boys are not far from playing the way that we want them to play, and the way that they can really create many problems to any MLS team.
Thank you. And dropping the word congruent in there, Coach. That's a good one.
Listen, Carol, sometimes I look more clever than I am, but in Italian we say congruente, so it's not so difficult. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol. Let's go to Alex next.
Hi, Christian. Thanks for taking the time.
Sure.
So after a game like St. Louis, one where there were frustrating goals that you probably thought that you gifted to the other team, and there was frustration in the locker room.
Yeah.
How much is Christian Lattanzio being a steadying force, a motivator. I don't know, just like providing. I don't want to say emotional support, but providing like some part of that coaching in addition to whatever you're doing tactically.
The last person you have to ask this question, I think, is me, because it's always difficult to talk about. I don't like to talk about myself, actually. So in those circumstances, I know that my role and my responsibility is to keep steady, to try to keep as calm as I can, and to try to, to be solid. Also because the guys, honestly, don't. As I said, I really feel frustrated for the guys, because to give away those goals and to give away the points after playing with a lot of personality in an environment that it was a very good environment. So credit to St. Louis for creating a good environment like they did. And our boys play with a lot of personality and try to play football from minute one until the last minute. So to go there and play there and to get nothing, I think it was very harsh. As I said, unfortunately, the referee, I don't think he was very good at all, in my opinion. But, it's, again, I don't want to make any excuses. I think it's sometimes I've never done that before, but even if I thought that, in this case, I thought it was, I felt that it was the right thing to say. And but that to a side, that it doesn't have to be an alibi ever for us. I think that the boys are really, working hard, and it's not so difficult to manage these guys. These guys are good guys. It's a really good group, and it's a group that believes in what they are doing. It's a group that, work hard, and I think that they are in the right track. I know that the results show differently, and I know that I also come from a country that's very much like the US. The result is the end of everything, or the beginning of everything. It's everything in a way. But I believe in my job. I have to look, my job and the coaching staff, we have to look at how the team is progressing, how the team is playing, how the team is creating an identity that ultimately will give us satisfaction.
And Christian, you've obviously coached in several different countries at several different levels. Have you drawn from personal experience, perhaps, during these first two matches that didn't go the way you wanted them to?
Yes, of course. Every day that we leave, we add a little bit of experience on the experience that we had before. So, of course, I looked at. It's part of me to have all the experience that I gained during these years in what I do on a daily basis.
Any memory? Oh, sorry.
Sorry?
Any specific memories that come to mind?
No, there are certain glimpses that come to mind. The specific memories, no, because we didn't play exactly. I have to adapt to the players that I have here, and I have to adapt to the opponents that we have here. So there will be similarities, but in the end, is how we keep going the process that we started.
And finally, sorry, one last for me. These are coming up on Saturday. They're two of the best MLS supporters, or best fan bases in MLS are about to match up. I just want to get your perspective on what it means to have, two such loyal fan bases coming together in your match against Atlanta this weekend.
Yeah, these are. And in fairness, I've seen a lot of loyal supporting in the US, not just obviously for us. I spoke many times about our supporters. Atlanta also, they create a great environment. I've been playing in their stadium before with New York City and with us last year when we went, and the stadium is beautiful. The atmosphere they create is great, and for us, we know it's a derby for the supporters, so we want to play. We know that is a game that the supporters, they leave even more passionate. But in the US, I've seen many loyal and strong fan bases, to be fair.
Okay, thanks, Christian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Steve, up next.
Buongiorno, Christian.
Buongiorno.
You were talking about wanting to have the ball all the time. So this, getting into the philosophy of that, Spurs had the ball most of the match against Milan yesterday. Yeah, didn't do a damn thing with it. So forgive me if I need therapy for being a Spurs fan right now. But with
And this Italian, for you is even worse. There is also an Italian coach there.
well, there's Italian coaches and then there's Italian coaches.
Also, Milan has an Italian coach.
Oh yeah, but the frustration is
Yeah, but it's not that you're gonna put your Tottenham frustration on me now. First of all, I was at West Ham, so I don't have any sympathy for this Tottenham thing. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, it's just with possession and possession without creating chances is an empty statistic. Unlike a Manchester City or Barcelona with Guardiola, they have possession and they hold the ball forever, and they can really. I mean, a team of that quality can create opportunities almost whenever they want. With this, it's not everybody has there's the full breadth of quality of a team like that. But how do you measure whether that having possession is successful or not? Do you have a certain number of shots? Because I mean, if you only take 3 shots but you score on all of them, it's not a lot of shots, but it's a very rewarding statistic. You can have 10 or 12 or 15 shots without any of them being dangerous. Against St. Louis, you had the one that scored, very effective. Vargas's shot, had a very good chance there, but there really weren't others that were that dangerous.
Well, there was
So
Nuno header. You forget.
Oh, right, that's true. Nuno's header. Forgive me on that. But how do you measure what is successful in terms of turning possession into opportunities?
No, I mean, to have the ball all the time. If I say that, obviously, it doesn't want to sound arrogant. We want to have the ball as much as possible, as much as we can. So now, then, this is the base. It's not the end all, the start all and the end all. To have the ball, it means that we have more chance to create the. Listen, when you have the ball, that gives you the possibility to stay connected, right? And then with the ball, you try to create chances. You can create chances also by winning the ball back to go in transition. So this is another way. And then you can create chances from set pieces that you all normally create if you either, again, from transition or from creating chances having the ball. Me personally, I like to have the ball because I think it gives the possibility to the team to play in an ordered way so that we can be well positioned on the pitch, connected, and then creating chances. Then how do I measure success? If we have a possession and we don't have any chances, obviously this is counterproductive because a lot of time you have to position players higher than the ball in order to create problem to the opposition. If you lose the ball while you are building, you then defend with less players and you have more space behind you. So I understand what you are saying. That's why our sport is quite complex in a way. But we have to choose a style. We want to have possession-based style, but not just to have possession, to create chances. And sometimes you don't see creation of the chances because we didn't position ourselves well tactically, that didn't allow certain players to be on the ball, or when we delivered the ball wasn't delivered not well, he didn't miss the first player, or he went into the hands of Burki. And so there are different ways that you can analyze the game with not just with the shot on targets, because you can shoot from 50 yards and that sounds as a shot on targets, but you can miss a chance from 3 yards, it goes wide, and that doesn't count as a shot on target. So it depends how many crosses you put, the XG, the expected score opportunities that you have. And in many matches in which I've been here, we have never been, very rarely we have been outplayed in that. And this is the frustrating part, that we have stats that normally translate into at least a point that we end up losing. So, but we will keep going. We want to create as many chances as possible. And the base for us is to have the ball. Then sometimes we will not be able to have it because we play against teams that they are equally skillful or even more than us to keep it and with individual players. But our style is to try to play our game and to impose our style of play against anybody that we play against.
Yes, and like, how far along do you think the squad is in understanding the unique characteristics of Copetti and finding ways to integrate, work with him in a more cohesive fashion? He had told me, I saw him by chance over the weekend, that this was different than Argentina, but of course it is. So he has to learn as well to play with, the guys who are here and stuff. And this is his first time with that. But he's a competitive athlete, so I can understand his frustration. But both sides have to come together to find a way to maximize the teamwork aspect of it. How close do you feel the team is to that?
I think every day that goes by, we are getting closer. He already scored his first goal in MLS, which is great. We know that he has got characteristics that are very useful to us and very dangerous for the opposition. He's a good guy to have around. He's a great character, but also you need to understand that the way we want to play is slightly different from maybe the way he has been used to. The Argentina MLS is not the La Liga Argentina, and therefore it's a bit of understanding each other. But I can tell you that on a daily basis, he's working with his teammates to try to understand his characteristics. He values his teammates. The teammates really value him. And like everything, Steve, you have to give him time to adjust, and to his teammates to adjust to him, and vice versa. It's something that we know, but he looks like already a guy that he understands the way we want to play. Can we serve him a little bit better? I think we can. Can he does a little bit better in certain circumstances himself to help the team? I think he can. And we are working towards that on a daily basis. It's not that we leave anything to chance.
It worked the same way with Carroll, when he was running the point there, and with Daniel, finding ways to do that. The last thing is kind of just a tactical question. When the lineups came out before St. Louis and Shinyashiki is in the starting lineup, the diagrams had like DJ in the middle and Shinyashiki on the right. But it seemed during the game that you had Andre Moore in a number 10 type, deep forward slot where Carroll had been before. Am I correct in that? Is that where you wanted Andre more in the middle?
I wanted Andre more in the middle, yes. I wanted Andre more in the middle to link more with Enzo and to create this kind of connection with the two wingers. I thought also Carroll could be interesting coming from the right to deliver ball with his left. Unfortunately, we didn't do that enough. But the one thing that they did, because I know that they have the quality, they link up really well and they led to the goal. But it's only one possibility that we have, and we want to maximize that, and to create this possibility more and more in the game.
I won't even ask if that's going to happen on Saturday.
We will see.
With that. I could ask, but you wouldn't have. So anyway, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. We'll go to Antonio next.
Hi, Grayson. Good to see you again.
Thank you, Antonio. Good to see you.
I know you talked about versatility in players having different roles, but in which role you see Carroll having more influence in the game, as a winger or as a number 10?
I think he is an attacking player that can play in multiple positions. And I think in modern football, you have to be able to play, if you have certain characteristics in different positions. I think he can play both roles, and he can play number 9 as well. He has been playing number 9 in the past. He can play number 10. He can play winger. So I think he's an attacking player that can benefit us in many different ways.
And I know that you don't like talking more about the other team, but when you match against players like Rossetto, Almada, Araujo, is it better to defend the gaps or close their passing lanes, or go with who has the ball at the time?
I think you have to do both, because these guys, if you let them play freely, they are technically very competent. All the names that you mentioned, Ibarra as well. They are guys that can be really silky on the ball. They can play well, technically competent. I played already against Araujo when I was in France. He played for Lille, so I know how dangerous can be. He scored also against us when I was at Nice, so I know how dangerous he can be. Thiago Almada, he just won the World Cup in the squad with Argentina, so we know that they are guys that they have immense quality technically, that they can play in different leagues. So we respect them, and in order to respect them, we have to make sure that we make the game very difficult for them. We need to press them, and at the same time close the space very quickly where they are, because they are capable of finding passes very well with at ease.
And just two quick more from me. Can you expand a little bit more on Andrea Cannavacciolo's role with the team specifically, and if you have background together?
Yeah, no, Andrea, since a long time, I think his role within the team is linked to the performance from a different angle. I think we are trying to build, as I said many times, and after 2 games that we are in year 2, it looks like that that there is a disaster. I think that we are building something, and building something, it means building not just on the football pitch, but also the mentality of the players, the mentality of the team, and create something that can last. And sometimes to do that, you take a longer route, you take a more thorough route, and I hope that the result don't cloud all the good work that goes in on a daily basis here, because I think that every player that is here is trying to play, even the goalkeeper, and every player that is here is trying to defend, even the striker. So if you see our team, you can criticize many things, and I take the responsibility for that. But I think that our boys are always trying to play, and sometimes we make mistakes because we are trying to do things that maybe don't come exactly easy at the moment, but in my opinion will pay off later on.
Great. And now that Steve said he's a Tottenham fan, I was just wondering which Serie A team you grow up watching. What's your favorite calcio team in Italy?
Yeah, it has to be Roma, no? It has to be Roma. I grew up with a team in which some great players and great coaches used to play, Ancelotti being one, and Falcao, Bruno Conte. So it was the team that won the league many years ago for Roma in the 80s, and that was my dream team of childhood. So obviously Roma is always a special place in my heart.
Perfect. Thank you, Christian. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Saturday.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Tonio. All right, we're going to go to Caleb, and then Willie P's got a final one, and that's where we'll wrap it up.
Hey, Christian, how you doing, man?
Thank you, Caleb. You?
Good to see you. I just have one for you. After the St. Louis game, you mentioned that the team was angry, but that was a good thing that you saw. You saw that they were frustrated that they didn't show what they believed they could do. How do they sort of funnel that anger into this game this weekend? And is there a good way to funnel that?
Yeah, no. After Caleb, it's important that we show on the pitch on that day what we are capable of. Is not leaving anything outside. I think that the frustration came because we felt as a group that we gave away avoidable goals. I guess there is a case to be made that every goal is avoidable, but the one that we gave, they were really on us, unfortunately. And but there was anger in the team because they thought that they had enough to get back home with something. And so the belief is important that we keep it high, that we keep going. We're gonna find difficult games, but we have to make sure that we give very, very difficult games to the opposition as well. So we want to channel all our more than anger, I would say energy, because anger can be an energy that you don't control. We want to control our energy, but we have to play with the intensity and quality, which are the two parameters that I always keep my focus on for our team. We have to be intense and we have to play with quality, with and without the ball. When I say play, it's not just with the ball, but also without the ball.
Right. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Caleb. All right, Willie P, final one.
Just a clarification on what your injury status is. I know that most of the guys are long term, but I know we saw Vinny Mello out there at training, and I know Hamidi popped up on the injury report as well, and Adam is progressing. What can you tell us about not just your short term but long term injury status of guys?
No, everybody's progressing well. So we starting to have Guzman taking part of the rondos, of the part of the training with the passing, and that's a great news for us, not just tactically but psychologically, because I know how hard they worked all these months, and to see the light at the end of the tunnel for him is great. We are so happy to have him here. He has been always part of the team, but obviously when you can be on the pitch and contribute is different than when you can't. Also, Kale is recovering well and is making good progress. Vinny Melo is training with us. Also, Amadi is improving, and so is Adam. So I think from that point of view, I have to say that I'm pretty optimistic on how everybody is recovering.